ladies and gentlemen, this is Carmine Sabia for Explain America, and it appears we have our first Democrat 2028 presidential contender, and oh boy, is it a doozy. Before we get started, please make sure you like, comment, share, and subscribe. Those little things really help us out, and they help our channel continue to grow. And if you're not watching us on YouTube, please check that address in the lower right-hand corner. It's youtube.com/@explainamerica. And when you get there, please hit subscribe. Absolutely free. It really helps us out. Well, it appears we have our first Democrat campaigning for president. Somebody who we thought was going to campaign for Senate, but has apparently rejected that idea. Because what he really wants to do is be president of the United States. And why not? Why not? Pete Buttigieg, ladies and gentlemen, wants to be the president of the United States. And of course, his husband, I guess, would be the first husband, or the first gentleman, I guess they would call it, right? And I'm struck by this because I look at Mr. Buttigieg's tremendous experience and tremendous list of qualifications. Mayor of a tiny little town and transportation secretary. Well, gosh, you're super qualified, man. Why don't you run for president? I mean, if you can run a small town, you surely can run the entire nation. And I know what you're going to say. Some Democrats are going to say, well, what did Trump do before? Well, Trump ran a multinational corporation. It's kind of like running a country, actually, if you know anything about business. Pete Buttigieg ran a small town and then was a bad transportation secretary. Wasn't even a good transportation secretary. Was a bad transportation secretary. But he checks certain boxes of wokeness that you know the Democrats love. However, I don't see him getting through a primary. Listen, he's one of the not crazy Democrats. Not so crazy. He's crazy because they're all crazy. But he's a more reasonable Democrat. I just don't see his own party letting him get through the primary. I just don't see the key demographics in the Democrat Party voting for this man. I don't see it. I could be wrong, but I don't see it happening. I wonder what you guys think. I want you to watch this story and let me know what you think in the comments.
The members to get on board and get on track.
Well, how about not being anti-American, like the country again? Stop the 1619 project. America is built on stolen land, on the backs of slaves. That's not really an inspirational message on year 250. So David Axelrod had an interesting thing because Pete Buttigieg, there's three key Senate races that Republicans think they can win. One in Georgia, one in Michigan, and now in New Hampshire, especially if Governor Sununu can come in. So they said in Michigan, when Gary Peters decides to retire, Pete Buttigieg evidently met with Senator Schumer and said, I'm thinking about running. Would you back me? Now there's been a change.
Yeah, they're saying that Pete Buttigieg could be the future of the party. This is what Axelrod...
He's not going to run for Senate.
This is what Axelrod said. Pete was an A-list recruit and would have been a formidable candidate for the Senate seat had he chosen to run. But had he won in 26, it would almost certainly have taken him out of the conversation for 28. This certainly keeps that option open. Have y'all seen the meme, our Pete versus their Pete? Talking about Pete Hegseth, the Secretary of Defense, and Pete Buttigieg. I think I'll take our Pete.
Yeah.
What did he do as transportation secretary? He didn't do much as a mayor. He lost in the race when he ran for president. I'm not sure this is your star. And the Democrats keep having all these meetings, but they're not changing their message. You got to start talking about the stuff that matters to the American people. All this radical nonsense is not common sense. They're still talking about trans competing against women in women's sports. They're still doubling down on green. All they're advocating for the federal workers, but they're not talking about the mom and pop stores and all the regulations that they're putting on them. They're still anti-police. They still want the borders to be run over. And then they're standing behind this guy who's a threat to America, who's standing with Hamas. They're protesting for him. None of that makes sense.
So Axelrod is saying because, if he ran for Senate, he would not be considered as